Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we go to Tiffany, and we have to tell the story, or maybe you tell the story, Tiffany, how we met, how everything started, and what we can expect in April from you. So welcome.
We just coincidentally met through a shared institution, and we're both a part of that space. And you were sharing your book, just gaining that engagement, and you were just this very open presence. And I remember meeting you and it being this very memorable moment for me. And it's one of those things, sometimes you meet someone, there's just something that clicks. And you weren't the only writer I met that day. I met quite a bit. Maybe there were 10, 15 of you guys promoting your work and sharing your creative ideas and engaging. And I met you, and it was just something very special and unique. You just came across so genuine and authentic and warm, and you just had this really great open presence. And I just remembered, and we just continued to stay connected. We followed each other on Instagram and sent a few messages, and now we're here.
Oh, wonderful. And we want to say we met at Marymount. Marymount is my alma mater, where I went to school many years as a non-traditional student when I was working and going to school at night for 3.5 years. It's a big part of my life, and also coming back to Marymount feels like coming home. And meeting you when you took those beautiful pictures was really a special moment. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about you. What are you doing? What have you been producing since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, I created my first film.
Yay.
And I wasn't sure where that film was going to go. I had felt it on some level. It didn't really have a specific direction. I hadn't written a script. It just started to grow more within. And then one day I decided to, out of curiosity, research how does one submit a film to Tribeca Film Festival? And total curiosity, I completely assumed that I would go onto that website and it would say something like, you can submit for a fee of $5,000, or your film must be at least $1 million budget. Or I wasn't, because it was such a prestigious space and I just put it on such a high pedestal. So when I went through the actual research and information and learned that it was possible and accessible and I can be considered and submit, that was just everything coming together. And then for the next few months, I went through the development process, and that lasted way longer than I thought it was going to.
Let's go back a little bit. This was always a dream of yours to submit something like a short film, to the Tribeca Film Festival? Or sometimes we look up things and we're like, oh, that would be great. And they're like, oh, not for me. So that was always a dream of yours?
Not particularly. For the earliest kind of memories that I have, being around 5 years old, in kindergarten, walking around the playground, I wasn't socializing with the other kids. I was continuing to create this movie in my head. And then I wanted to write stories and I wanted to research, and that led to my continued passion and drive pursuing the creative industry as my professional career. And then that maybe just being in New York now for 3.5 years has really solidified community and acceptance and belonging and a shared space of people supporting each other creatively. So a lot of that just got into my radar and my orbit, so to speak. I started to feel like I was going to be creating a film, and I didn't really know what it was. I just started, and I didn't really know. It didn't have a deadline. It didn't have any kind of, I had to finish it by this time, and Tribeca kind of gave me that. And
Mm.
yes, you do have a deadline now, and you do have to care about the story and production and everything.
You said you spend a lot of time on development. So how does one develop? Is it you write it or you feel it or
Yeah, a lot of it came in as feeling and like vision would just kind of
Mm.
surface. None of it was forced. So that is why that kind of development process took quite a bit of time because I wasn't forcing it. I wasn't researching other films. I wasn't trying to find what other people were doing at all. I wasn't even looking at anything that has been submitted to Tribeca. I wasn't even looking into films that won or were accepted. Nothing. I was totally in isolation in the dark, just letting it come in. And it
Wow.
came in pieces. I remember having this vision of holding fire in my hands.
Mm.
And I knew that the element of fire was going to be part of the film. So then that turned into what kind of fire producing elements can I purchase on Amazon that are safe and what filmmakers or photographers use because there's a safer version that's going to bring gasoline. I found all of these elements and pieces, just visions that would just surface. Another one was just having this vision of windows. So then it became, okay, how do I create this floating window? What does that, so a lot of it was me getting these visions and figuring out a path to build them in my living room somehow.
Wow.
And then shooting them, and that had to be correct too. So that was also a whole journey.
Wow. It seems like you have a vision and then you have to scale back. Okay, this is the reality. And how do
Yeah.
we do that? And you found the research and you dug in and
Yeah.
you thought that took much longer than anticipated.
Yeah, because the film, to me in the very beginning, it felt like a part of myself. It was too stuck in my own stuff. I didn't want to come from a place where it wasn't for something. I knew that it was for people and it wasn't just for me.
Mm.
Again, not forcing that. That had to develop and it had to surface. This isn't biographical and it isn't just about me, about here's my experience. The story started to surface as this is a reality we all feel together as human, so that it was now a universal language that people can feel if they choose to watch it. That was like a big key that started to come in.
And can you tell us what the title is and a little bit the story, how it came about? It seems like everything is magical and mysterious a little bit. Is that my right assumption?
It is, yeah. I would put it into that category for sure because it was all just surfaced vision. I wasn't looking for inspiration. I wasn't looking at photography. I wasn't researching film techniques, lighting, nothing. I just let it be what it wanted to be completely without any judgment. I allowed it to fully surface completely organically. The name of the film is Our Exam. That title came in, surfaced the day before I submitted it or the day of.
Wow. And did you have, like, sometimes we say you have a working title or you just said my
Right.
movie?
No, I had, it's so funny because I kept going through, like, kind of the same as the visual visions, the title would sometimes surface. Just thinking in my own internal dialogue or reasoning or just going through it in my own mind, a working title would kind of surface and escape from that dialogue. And I would go, oh, that would be a great title. And that happened so many times.
Ah.
And then when I was finishing the film, it was like when I was working on the beginning credits because I had to put the title in. And I was attempting to go back to my old notes to try to find what I had written like a billion times. I was writing emails to myself throughout the entire months of this process. And I got basically just frustrated because I couldn't find the notes I was looking for, which is completely my fault. That's totally my fault.
Sounds like me.
And I was like, okay, but examination. Okay, here's where we're going to go. It was just like, and then it was just do it. Don't overthink it. That's the title. Yeah.
Our exam, whatever that means. So you're the only person in that movie. You directed everything. You created everything. Tell us a little bit about that. I'm fascinated.
Yes. It's just me the whole film.
Wow,
I think
congrats.
when we last spoke, I had mentioned I feel like I'm approaching a marathon, and you brought in your own experience and you understand what that feels like. And you gave some really beautiful advice about taking breaths and taking rest days and recovery. And that definitely started to feel more of a needed kind of weight to
Mm,
release and staying in harmony and peace through something that
mm,
is so layered and so outside of yourself, also so within yourself. You do need those rest and recovery kind of
mhm.
moments. Your advice stuck with me
Hmm. No,
through
I'm
the
happy.
process.
I'm happy to be a little part of this. I'm just curious. So, when we say you need to find the balance, obviously you are working the whole day and you did the movie. So, how did you do that? Thinking of that marathon that was now 5, 6 weeks for you, or even longer?
Yeah, this was a lot of nights and weekends and a
Mm.
lot of nights that I did not feel like doing anything. And that turned into me really struggling to film at night. I literally would just have my regular work Monday through Friday, and the evening would start to approach, and it was so bizarre because I knew that I was so internally passionate and motivated to deliver this at the best of my ability. At the same time, I felt so if I just sit here and watch TV and just watching the hours go by and maybe I'll drink some coffee, wake up a little bit. If I can just film for 1 hour, I'll film at 7 PM, 8 PM, 9 PM. I just had this kind of stuck moment, and one day I decided, what if I didn't watch TV or have my phone on for 24 hours? How would that feel? And I did that, and I had these 2 whole solid weeks of no work. It was just like my vacation time. And so I knew that it was so important to that was a gift.
Mhm,
This is a gift. It doesn't mean you're going to keep getting it. You need to appreciate and be grateful for the gift
mhm,
that's being handed to you. I knew it was important that I shot. That was the 2 weeks. Like, you're being given this time and it's not going to come back. The next day, before I started to officially shoot for that 2
mhm.
weeks, no TV and no phone. And then that night I realized no TV. It was like and I still haven't had TV on. It's gone now. So with the film, taking TV out of the equation, I also made this kind of discovery and, like, big moment of realizing that TV was actually keeping my life extremely internal, and I wasn't actually
Mhm.
really living my life. Thank you, film, for giving me, like, this thing that's further outside of the film, but for my life in general, yeah.
It's in a way creating a discipline. So you eliminated the TV. You had so much more time to dedicate to what you really like to do. This is fantastic. And I hope the listeners taking notes, no TV, you can do many more things. So you had a deadline of February 4. Was that helpful? Or was that like, oh, I cannot sleep anymore until February 4? How was that?
It was very helpful. I'm very much a person that loves deadlines. I absolutely need deadlines. I'm one of those people where if you ask that something get done and I ask for a deadline and there is no deadline, well, I have this whole other list of stuff that has deadlines that I'm going to be focusing on versus the thing that doesn't have a deadline. Yeah, I was very grateful for Tribeca creating this block of time and basically forcing me to, your work is going to go here and there is no wiggle room. You do need to commit to this.
Did you say you created an internal deadline for you before the official deadline?
Yeah, so before I researched just Tribeca Film Festival and what does that look like? I've never even been to their website kind of thing. I did have this, oh, I feel like a movie is in here. I feel like it's a short film. I want to get it done within the next month. It was like that thing, like create a short film for the month of October. That was more maybe on an experimental, here's more of an experimenting kind of thing versus the actual structure and responsibility and accountability and challenges and structure, production schedule, deadline that comes with an actual Tribeca film submission. And if I wouldn't have had that, I would have just created something fun, and I probably still would just be experimenting with little things. That structure forced me to, if you want to be a leader in the creative industry and you want to continue to move up, then creating a film that you take seriously, working in every single department, is definitely going to help grow me versus the opposite. So,
yeah. And when we last spoke, I also asked you, do you have people who are helping you? And you're like, no, this is my project. So in retrospect, would you want to have some help? Did you eat enough? Did you sleep enough? We need to balance our lives. We need to sleep and eat in order to be more productive. So it's that Get Fit in 2026 methodology. How did you do that?
Yes, I definitely took the project on understanding that I was welcoming the challenge of doing this by myself and that it was going to represent that and it was always going to be that. Going through the project, the areas that I would most likely desire more help would maybe be a lot of heavy lifting, moving around the C stands, and like the actual physical labor of it was a lot. And it always helps to have an extra person behind the camera. I have a whole documentary now of myself filming this film because my camera was just staying on record because I was in the person in the shot. So I had to do that a lot. I really just enjoy working with a team. That's like that's community, that's support, that's challenging each other, holding each other accountable, no one letting the other person get away with dropping the ball. Or it's like, I really do crave that community and that team. It's always important to me. As for the balance of health and wellness, I definitely stayed in the same sleeping routine. My diet didn't really change very much. A lot of that was due to the fact that I was creating the film at home. It made that pretty convenient. I was still able to tell myself, I'm tired. I don't really feel like staying up until midnight. I want to go to sleep. So I did get to have that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very glad to hear that. And now we have to wait till April. And then the film festival, whoever is in New York, let's look up your name in June. Tribeca Film Festival with Tiffany Smith. I wish you all the best. Good luck. And get us an invite for the opening night when you are there. Thank you so much for insights. And we'll see you in New York, maybe also in Hollywood.
Thank you. Yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Let's shoot for the moon. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow. Who is coming with me to the Tribeca Film Festival in June? Take It From the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. Come and join us and download the book or get it in your local bookstore. Take It From the Iron Woman, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. And talking about sports, it's Get Fit in 2026. Actually, this is to put your running shoes on for leadership. Check it out on my website and hear from it on the social media platforms. Also, like us and subscribe to the platform where you're listening to this podcast today. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Take care.